Welcome, everybody, to the latest episode, the latest happy hour. We're back again. Consistency is always key. So, I wanted to do something special for this episode. I wanted to go out and get out to the hustlers. I mean, I can't have a critical hustle and not talk to the hustlers. I've done relationships, we've done gun control, guns, we've done all types of stuff. But let's get to what my company's about, what Critical Hustle is about. So I went out and I reached out to two of my favorite entrepreneurs. Um, I venture to say that they're really good. They're really, really good at it. This is going to be more than just one because I have a bunch of people that I know that are great entrepreneurs. But I definitely wanted to bring something to you guys that was special. It's the holiday season, and as we know, 2020 has been an experience for everybody. But 2021 is a new chance for us to start today, and we've had enough experience with COVID to figure out how we can go out here and create our own. So first, I'm going to introduce Ryan Harris here, who is a good friend of mine, hailing originally from Atlanta, now living in Houston, because that's what we do here. We move here. And then I want to bring in Latrina of Logistic Massage, who came all the way from Lufkin.
Nothing Texas.
I don't know a lot about Lufkin, but I know that she came to Houston and she made it happen. So I definitely wanted to talk to you guys about this. I start every happy hour off the same, and it's very important to me to say this because it's a happy hour. So, Latrina, what are you sipping on? And I almost can guess.
Yeah, I want you to guess.
I'm gonna go with it's a nice, cold, cool bottle of warm water.
You look. I need a wine glass for you. Look.
And she fancied the water up. Oh,
Life's elixir. Okay.
okay. Look, I mean, if she put it in the whole flute, you know what? You win. You win. You might have the championship. I didn't see a lot of things, but you fancied up the water.
I said,
Ryan,
I'm gonna put it in the wine glass for Jerron so he can get him
see,
get the vibe.
that's very nice of you. Ryan, what you doing over here?
Well, I was actually going to do what Latrina was doing at first, but I was cleaning up. I'm on the kick of just cleaning up at the end of the year, and I came across this nice, cool bottle of rum that my uncle got for me about 6 months ago from Barbados. So I said I'd throw a little Coke on top of that, and you know what I'm saying, see what it do. So rum and Coke, classic.
Okay,
Classic.
I feel you. I'm just gonna go and be real. Couldn't really get my mind to it, so I just got a styrofoam cup and some lemonade because I didn't feel like going to get it. But just a unsponsored sponsored request. Lemonade and Douce might be the greatest invention on the planet. Just letting you know. Just letting everybody know. At, Chris,
Noted. I remember that.
at Christmas time, don't see me because I won't see none of y'all because my eyes will be half closed. Offer half a bottle of Douce and probably a full bottle of diabetes called Simply Lemonade. So, with that being said, you know, I want to get into what you guys do, but I just want to talk about the mindset of being an entrepreneur. Like, if you can go back as far as you can remember of having that feeling of not even knowing, you probably not even knowing that there's a word called entrepreneur. Just I like money is usually what I like to call it. What was the first thing you did, Ryan? The thing that you can remember?
The first things that I did to trigger that I am a entrepreneur.
Yes, without knowing. So you can go back to the cradle if you need to.
I think for me, I mean, I started working early. I worked in high school, so like at 16, you know, I had a job that I would go to after school, and I've always been I've always been the type of person that kind of likes to create my own path and do what I feel is necessary and move at my own pace. So I never really liked the idea of somebody kind of telling me what to do. That never really jived with me. So the concept of, you know, going to a job to get paid, but somebody telling me what to do, it just never sat right with me. It never has. And that works in my favor sometimes. Sometimes it works to my detriment, but it's the honest to goodness truth. And so, you know, as time goes on, you start to see people, you know, moving around and doing other things to get money, whether that's in the street or whether that's, I'm selling water or I'm selling oranges or I'm selling candy. You know, I had a bunch of partners who were entrepreneurs around me and got the same amount of money I was getting or more. You know, just little money. And I ain't talking about big stuff. I'm talking about you in high school. You want to go on the weekend and get some McDonald's, or you want to go to the movies or whatever. So they had little pocket money, but they wasn't working, you know, at a 9 to 5. I'll call it the way that I was. So I was always intrigued with that, and I didn't know that was called being an entrepreneur until I got into college. You know what I mean? So I would say that's really the genesis of it, seeing that, you know, okay, the conventional way of getting money is this, but then there's another way to get money, and just being interested in figuring out how I can make that work for me in my circumstance.
Yeah.
What about you, Latrina?
Man, I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, you know, it's kind of similar to Ryan's story, just wanting my own money. Like, I didn't want to have to constantly ask my parents for stuff. I didn't want to constantly just depend on anybody like that, you know, to get little stuff. Like, I wanted to, you know, go to the book fair and just, you know, little stuff that the schools would offer, you know what I mean, which costs money. Every time you turn around, you know, it's something that costs money that, you know, they had some event going on at school that, you know, 9 times out of 10, my parents really couldn't pay for, to be honest. So I had to find a way. You know, I started selling candy, you know, candy at school.
Right.
So that was that money, people coming to me, wanting that candy like that, and
Right.
just seeing the turnaround. I mean, that's really where it started at, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I missed the candy hustle. Like, I mean, maybe because I just didn't eat candy, but I never had the candy hustle. My friends, we were joking one day, and they were like, "You remember that time you wanted to start an advertising agency?" Like, I had a plan that we were gonna go to the mall and design flyers for businesses. I had a friend that could draw really well. I was liking rap. Let's say I liked rap, so I could write rhymes. I was like, I can get you a couple little quick little things off. I mean, it had full on, like, we're having board meetings and conversations. But I feel like I should have been more about the transaction and been like, listen, we got here with this candy. But again, I was in Compton, so in my mind, it didn't really translate to, like, you know, the lemonade stand actions and things of that nature.
Mhm.
So, and I went to a private school, and I think they were a little bit too. We were too small to be able to kind of like dump off candy in little places without anybody.
You know, they don't allow that anymore, though. They don't
They didn't allow it then.
They didn't allow when I saw it either. Big people, that's how people doing
I
it.
didn't never hear those rules. So, you know,
Right.
so, you know, we deal with
Right.
we don't hear those rules.
But that's the funny part is once you decide that you want to get to the money, you know, until somebody implements rules to you, you really don't have any. You're like, hey, look, I got these trees in the backyard. My mom said cut down. I'm about to cut these trees down. And who wants some firewood? You kind of adapt to your environment and you figure out what you can sell and get rid of.
Before permission. I'll ask for forgiveness before I ask for permission. That's
Right.
my motto. That's always been my motto. You know what I mean? So I think it's like that with most people. You know, you have people who just go and they go until they run into a blockade, and then they move around that blockade and then go some more and keep going and keep going. You know what I'm saying? It's you know, the difference, there are some people who just stop at the blockade, you know, for whatever that reason is. And I would say that that's the difference between a lot of entrepreneurs and non-entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? Sometimes people want to get things going, and you know, they run into that obstacle and then stop. You know what I mean? But you know, I don't want to say it's a rare breed. I just think it's a mental differentiator of saying that, you know, I'm not going to stop. And sometimes it's your circumstances that forces you to say, you know what, I got to keep going this way. You know what I mean? I've already committed, so I'm going. You know what I mean? No matter what happens, we just gonna have to get through it.
Well, you bring up a good point because risk is always involved, right?
Right.
And I think that the interesting part, like when I talk to people about being an entrepreneur, you know, it's always quit your job and just go all the way out. And I'm like, don't quit your job because you still got to eat and you still got to pay bills. You kind of got to balance it. My view of always a job, I was like, that's your first funding source. You just got to figure out how to get according to have the funds to be able to start whatever it is that you want to do. But I'll start with you, Latrina. In terms of you moved here from Lufkin. Like, how much was it a risk to make that change? Like, I don't know the reason why you moved, but was it go? I don't know.
It was definitely like 360 almost, if not 360, maybe like 180. But like it was definitely different. I was doing hair, which I kind of always have had some type of entrepreneurial job. I did work for Old Navy for a while in Children's Place, but the bulk of my working history is working for myself, really. And I just got tired of doing hair. To be honest, I got tired of it. It was just, my Lufkin, small town. I just wanted something. I really wanted to change. Like I needed to get out of there because it's kind of like, I was doing my own thing, working for myself, but it's that small town thing. Sometimes you do have to leave. You know what I mean? You do have to leave to expose yourself to some other stuff and, things like that. So that's kind of where I was. I was needing a change, a big change. And so went online, started looking for a massage. I've always been told that I could give good, scalp massages. And my brothers played football and I would always stretch them and things like that. So, that I just looked it up and moved myself to Houston. Not really moved the first school. I had to drive from Lufkin to Houston for like 6 months every day.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Wait, is that like a 3-hour drive or 2 hours? How far?
2 hours. 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like.
Yeah, it was intense. Car trouble, like you don't even know. All the stuff I went through, I was like, you know what, this guy, and for me to just still, go after it. Some people might be like, nah, this might not even be the thing to do, but I kept going after it. That's how I know it's something about it that I'm supposed to be doing. I just, no matter what happened, I just kept doing it. No matter what, like the risk that I did take, like stuff would happen. I would find a way to still make it to school. So I just knew it was something I was supposed to be doing. The risk of just, succumbing to defeat, what feels like defeat, not finishing something, not completing something. That was probably the big risk that my sister was helping me with her. So just changing my life so quickly for this field that I really didn't know a whole bunch about. And, it's really sporadic. So it did have some risk, but the fact that I kept going through all of that just let me know it's something I'm supposed to be doing in this field somehow.
As much as we talk, I've never known about your 4-hour commute. Like I've never.
And it was night school, so it was at night.
Okay,
so I would work. I would do hair in the salon up until about 1 or 2. Drive to Houston, go to school for like 4 hours. It was part-time, night school. That's the only time I could do it because I still had to work. It had bills. So, yeah.
We're gonna come back to that. We're gonna circle back around. But that's like I want to just be like, Ryan, I'm gonna talk to you later. Listen.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it was a time, boy. It was a time.
But I mean that's one of the things that, and Ryan, I want you to tell your story after this. But it's something that I sit back and think about a lot. And I think about, we all know people that have made decisions and are successful at what they're doing. And you may feel like, well, if they could do it, I could do it. That kind of thing. Like there's not a big gap between you and that person there. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I figured out that is usually the common denominator amongst everybody I know, and Ryan, I'm going to include you in this as well, because I use you as a person of reference when I tell this, is when I look at it, people just want out of whatever their situation is bad enough. It doesn't have to be a bad situation. Right. They just want out of it bad enough to do whatever it takes to get there, to the point that they don't even notice the difficulties. Like they know it's hard and they know it's risk and they understand all that. But, you can take a educated guess on how it's going to turn out. You just have to get yourself in a position to convince yourself. But I've noticed that is the common denominator. Even for myself, I tell people how I moved to Houston was I decided I was going to school in maybe March, going to college. I applied to two colleges, Texas Southern and Dominguez. I was like, whichever one accepts me, that's where I'm going. Texas Southern, I went to the convention center, filled out a one sheet application, which I didn't even know that was possible. They sent me a response 2 weeks later saying you accepted. I was like, I'm out. I moved in July of the same year. I got the acceptance in April and was out in July.
Right.
It was in Houston. And it was pretty much because living in LA, living in Compton, I just couldn't see where it was gonna go. And I was like, I gotta make a decision and do something to get on a different path. So Ryan, that leads me to you because we worked together.
Right.
And in that process, in working together where you were successful, think somewhere between number 2 and number 3.
Yep.
Maybe snuck in there for 1 a couple months, but for sure number 2 and number 3. And then you were just like, yeah, you know what? I mean, we counted it down, but you was like, yeah, I'm out.
yeah, man. It's like you said, with anything, when you get uncomfortable enough, you will move. You know what I mean? And I think everybody's pain threshold is different. So that's one piece of it. I think for me, it just went back to that feeling of not wanting to be micromanaged and told what to do. And you kind of saw this, Jerron. JCC is a great company, and I'm sure it's even better than it was when I was there. But
you're just gonna put them out there like that. You just put them out there like you just gonna put them out there like, listen, it's great over here.
I mean,
things you can say when you're no longer there. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm no longer. It's a great company, but things started to change. The culture started to change a little bit that didn't fit, I guess, necessarily my style, and I started to get uncomfortable. It didn't really affect my performance, but I think I lost y'all. Are y'all still there?
No, so it works like a studio. I can like zoom in on you. It's a really cool tool.
My bad.
You were starring, but you didn't want to start no more. So my bad. I'll bring you back out. Go ahead.
No, but the point is that it wasn't something I would get up and go get there on Monday and feel like, man, I can't do 8 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? And I heard, I think it was Dave Ramsey was talking about, man, if you're at a job that you just can't do, leave. You need to do whatever you need to do to get out of there, because you're not doing yourself a favor and you're not doing that company a favor, sitting on their time clock, not giving your best. And that resonated with me. I always had, obviously, I mean, I come from the music industry, and just got to tell us my story quickly. 20 plus years in the music industry. I've worked in every aspect of the supply chain, from recording and production to marketing and promotions. I was a college rep for Sony Music. I've done in-stores for Cameron and Lauryn Hill, promotional ops for Jagged Edge when they first came out, just all kind of stuff. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but that was kind of my base. When 2005 hit and the tech bubbles really started to kind of come up, YouTube was popping, Facebook was popping, music industry just did a whole 180, and it just changed the whole revenue model. The way people were making money changed. And I just got married, and after marriage comes children, and so it quickly became, all right, if you're not making enough money to support wife and child, you need to do something different. So I got into corporate America and started hustling that way, for the benefits and whatnot. But I worked in corporate America probably for 8-9 years. But that itch is, what I'm talking about, Jerron, that itch is still there. You still want to do what you were passionate about, right? And so as these changes at my previous employer started to occur, and as my children kind of got to an age where they were older and, expenses were kind of, coming down, then it started to feel like, all right, well, this is an opportunity and a time where I can start thinking about getting back to what I'm really passionate about. And then the question is, well, how do I do that? You know what I mean? And so that was kind of the genesis of it. You were talking earlier about that decision to, what I call, you have the decision to jump off the cliff. And I think everybody at some point has that in an entrepreneurial role. You have to decide, okay, these are the risks. This is what could potentially happen, but I'm jumping, and I'm gonna just deal with whatever happens when it happens. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that you don't have a plan. Like I had a plan. I didn't just blindly decide I'm quitting my job. You know, and I had to still sell that to my wife. You know what I'm saying? Like she still wasn't fully on board with what I was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Until, you know, the numbers started coming in and it was making sense. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's a decision of faith at some point. Everybody has that decision to say, you know what? This might work, it might not, but we going. Let's go.
Right.
And so that's kind of what it was. And you know, you remember me clearly saying, "Yeah, I'm quitting in May. I'm done." You know what I mean? But I had already seen enough evidence from the previous year to plan. You know, all right, I got 6 months of runway. You know, saved in the bank. I got 2 more checks coming if I wait after May. And then I had the ultimate blessing from the executive team. They were like, "Hey, if it don't work, you can come back." So I was like, "Cool. Well, let me just try it and let's see what happens." You know, so they almost kind of ushered me out the nest, so to speak. You know what I mean? So I think it's like you said, if you get uncomfortable enough, you'll make what will seem to other people a crazy decision. But in your heart, like Latrina said, you know you're supposed to be doing this. It's something that you're kind of called to do. And you have a sense of peace about it, even though it seems crazy. It's peaceful about it. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I'm getting ready to jump off this cliff, and I might bust my head, but I don't think I am. I think I'm gonna fly. You know what I'm saying? And go ahead and do it. So, you know, that's kind of.
Well, you bring up a point that kind of, I'm glad you guys are talking like this because it helps me lead into all the things that I want to talk about. You guys are doing great. Appreciate you both. In terms of you guys, so let's just say you had a dream, right? And it may not even be necessarily a dream, but for everybody who's not in that mindset, it's a dream. Like I'm gonna leave discomfort and I'm gonna go pursue this dream or this opportunity. How did you navigate around the people that? Because I'm sure somebody told you like that sounds crazy. Don't do that. I know Ryan. I know I wasn't the one because I was just like, hey, you figure it out. Let me know. But you know the what it comes down to, and I have this conversation with a lot of people about sometimes the ability to not care what anybody thinks is your strongest weapon. Like it may not even be what you think you can do. It just might be the fact of I don't care. I told people to do music, to rap. I was like, to be able to continuously do it, there's a level of delusion that you have to touch. But it's a fine line. You can't go over it, because if you go over it, you 46 trying to get your album out. But there's a place where you go and you know you give it your all, so that when you decide, you know what, this ain't worked the way I wanted it to, a la me, I'm good. I'm gonna go make a move this way now because I haven't left anything on the table. But how did you guys navigate through that? Like the people closest to you or the people around you having the heart to heart because they care, but it's a heart to heart of your vision don't make sense. Trina, I'm gonna go back to you because you were driving 4 hours, so I feel like somebody had to tell you this sounds crazy.
Actually, no. And that's the thing. That's the crazy part, and that's how I know that it's even more sound. Is because I didn't have, even after driving for 2 hours just to get to school for the first 6 months. You know what I mean? Like even after doing all of that, car trouble, all of that, I had never had one person tell me stop doing what you're doing, because they knew that usually when I put my mind to doing something, they already know like that's what's going to go down. That's what's going to happen. And so I was just very adamant, and I think the fact that they seen how adamant I was, even if they did have some doubt, it got flushed away with the passion that I had to get it done. You know what I mean? Like that's just really how it was. I never had nobody tell me, you sure you want to do this, or you think, you know. Well, my mom, as far as moving to Houston, because she just scared of Houston. She's scared of the city, real country. So that aspect, not as far as, oh, you know, are you sure you want to be doing massage therapy? But just me moving to the city, that was her, you know, that was just her gripe. You know, that was it. Just the safety aspect, you know, me being close to her, you know, that type of thing. But I never had nobody. And that's a blessing. I'm happy I didn't have a lot of. And if something came up, something happened, like people would the few people I had around me, they would rally to get it taken care of. You know what I mean? But okay, well, look, they would help me plan. They would help me. Okay, well, let's just do this. Let's just do this. You know, if my kid had something going on, my sister, my mom, like everybody jumped in. You know, so I can't never say that I didn't have nobody to help, or that, you know, that somebody was pushing me down while I was, you know, if anything, it probably was myself more of anybody else, you know, battling myself to try to get through and you know,
we're gonna touch on that.
Yeah.
Self-doubt is important. What about you, Ryan? Like, other than your wife, because I know that that's a conversation, but like, where did everybody else fall in? Or, knowing you probably didn't care where everybody else fell in, but
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't have a lot of naysayers. You know, I think that there's a such thing as calculated risk. You know what I'm saying? And so you can have something that sounds absurd, but if you and you know, I come from sales, so anybody I ever told what was going on, I was always selling it from the way that I saw it. So they'd be like, yeah, that might kind of work. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really get a whole lot of pushback other than, I mean, so what's going to happen if it don't work, and what's your contingency plan? And that's the type of stuff I expect from anybody that I consider, you know, a friend or counsel. You know, I want them to kind of poke holes in what I'm talking about and say, you know, what did you think about this? Because I've already made up my mind that I'm doing it, unless you sell me on the fact that it's not going to work, and not too many people sell me on something that I've already decided to do.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of people who were like, yo, don't do it. And even my wife, it wasn't for her, it wasn't don't do it. It was more like, wait a little bit more, get a little more data, see how things go. Let's get this out of the way before we do that. And so for me to go against that, it wasn't so much that I didn't agree with her. I felt like, you know, there's always room to get more data so you can make a better decision. But I think for me, the mental stress of, you know, I'm just tired of doing this. I would rather be doing that, and this is how we can do it. No better time than now. You know what I mean?
So did you run into a point of self-doubt? Because I think from an entrepreneur standpoint, and maybe you vetted it enough, like you had the balance of being able to get, so you were able to be fully convinced. So I'll take it from where you are now as you move through, and we'll talk about what you guys do. Well, I'm sure we kind of touched on it, but we'll talk about specifically what you guys do. But I guess in this process, since leaving the job and being fully 100% independent, do you have the moments of doubt, even though you've proven that it worked thus far? Are there moments where you're like, I don't know?
Every day. I mean, but that's even at a real job though. This realization I had to come to is that, you know, you have a slight paranoia every day anyway. So if I'm gonna be slightly paranoid, I'm gonna do it on my clock and do it where under my rules. You know what I'm saying? Like if I got a goal every month to make, you know, if I got to make $250,000 every month in sales, you know, that's pressure, right? Okay, so if I got to make $250,000 a month, I still got to do it whether I'm working for somebody or whether I'm doing it for myself, right? And so the self-doubt comes in every single day of, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing everything necessary to ensure success? Am I learning from my mistakes? Am I listening to, you know, wise counsel? Am I, you know what I'm saying? It's always there, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like I call it the bad version of you. You have to always battle the bad version of you to get through the day or get through the week. You know what I mean? And the people that win those battles are the people that stay on top and continue to stay successful. I think everybody has that. You know, everybody has self-doubt. I know I can just speak for me. I mean, it's daily. It's like, are we doing the right thing? Is this where we need to be going with this? You know, just always just checking yourself. And I think it's good. I think it's a good mechanism to have. It keeps you on your toes.
Yeah,
You know?
no, definitely. And Latrina. Oh, she just muted herself. Look, oh, I don't know. She come in, going out. What we doing? What we doing? What we doing? But so
Click the buttons.
I'll ask you this question: what songs will you listen to in the car on those 2-hour drives?
Oh, everything. Oh my goodness, everything. Trap, R&B, oldies, everything, everything. Seriously.
So,
Well,
but
no,
I want to ask you.
I don't listen to country like that,
So who?
no country.
Oh,
I didn't
see,
listen to
people
country.
always hating country. No, but did you visual? I'll say this: did you visualize success to where you are now? And I know you're not done, but I'm saying like in those 2-hour drives, did you see it in this form, or did you see it larger? Did you see
No, I did not see myself doing like not at this capacity, not doing massage or just where I've taken the business at this capacity. I wasn't even thinking that far. I just knew I wanted a change. I knew that I had did some research. I knew massage was beneficial. You know what I mean? And then the fact that when I got into it, I'm just like, why didn't I get into this sooner? But, on a knowledge level, just the things that I learned along the way, not just necessarily, more so of the body, stuff about the body.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I didn't think it was going to be what it is right now. Like I wasn't even thinking that far, honestly. I was just
Okay.
I knew I wanted to change, and I looked that up, and it was interesting. I had, that's just it. It really, I know it probably sounds boring, but yeah, that's basically, I didn't have that. So.
Well, let me say this because I guess I'm gonna toot you guys' horn for a second because I want to, and that's why I brought you guys on here. And I'll start with Latrina because I have like really horrible back issues. But and massage does help. Like in general, massage does help. But what I like appreciated about Latrina was the knowledge about the body. Like it wasn't just like, oh, you're tense. Here, let me give you a massage and give you a good massage. But it was like, okay, you need to stretch. You need to do this. You need to do that. Here, I'm about to do this. It's gonna hurt. Like the funniest thing in the world is because I tease her about this all the time. Probably for like the last year. No, actually, no, from the time I started. So maybe this year is probably the first time that I've ever gotten like just I'm gonna go get a relaxing massage. Um, but it's really been like body mechanics, like stretching and things that you hope that you find in a massage therapist, but you don't even know that you need it. And that's one of the things that I give her all the credit for. And I've watched as I forgot even how I like found her. I may have been Instagram. I don't know.
I think it was. I think you found me on Instagram.
But
On Instagram.
And I think it was the videos that she put out. Like she put out videos about the neck, and it was like pictures, and it was just different from somebody showing you how they massage somebody else's back. I was like, okay, for my specific issues, it looks like she would know what's gonna make it feel better. And over time, just having conversations and watching the business grow, like genuinely grow. I mean, she was doing contracts, and not to make it sound weird, but there are a lot of people that are sole proprietors, single operators that they're they're willing to go to people's houses and do all that stuff. I wanted somebody who had a physical place for it to go there. So that was one of the things that led me there, but it also showed me that there was a certain level of you are not new and you decided to plant root and this is what you're trying to get done. And so I was always intrigued by the process. And we talk now. I tell her she needs to start a school because there are people out here not knowing. They're not doing the level of continuous. They're not doing the level of continuous education that she does. Like that's what you don't see. You don't see that she'll shut the business down and I'm gonna go to Chicago and learn this new thing, or I'm gonna go here and learn this new thing, and really be about learning it to the point that she's not going to sightsee, not doing anything. If she gets outside, that's great. I still follow her on Instagram, so I'd be like, oh, there you go. But I think that that's something that's important that you guys both touched on about being passionate about it. If you're willing to drive 2 hours to get the opportunity, you should damn sure make well that once you have the opportunity that you're going out and you're beating on every door, getting your name out there and doing as much as you possibly can to network and go. So that's one of the things that I greatly appreciated. And I was like, I'm going to make sure I get her on this show. I think I've been talking to her about some form of being on something for about a year. I just couldn't figure out what till now. And then as for Ryan, it's very rare that you get to sit down and have a conversation with somebody as they're figuring out their plan. You know, and what I appreciate about that is I've actually had the opportunity to talk to a lot of people, and not that I'm wise counsel, but I enjoyed having the conversation about, well, what do you think about this, and what do we think about this, or how about this? Because one thing that I can tell anybody is, as an entrepreneur, you need to have somebody to bounce the idea off of. You need somebody to help you manage your crazy, because even if Ryan doesn't admit it, there's, like you said, there is self-doubt. There's more self-doubt in the planning stage, because you're like, even if I believe in it, is there anybody around that I can talk to about it that can at least understand it, and they're not just being, Ryan, you're a good guy, you could do whatever you believe in. Like that's to me, that's the worst experience, is when you have these ideas, is somebody telling you, hey, you could do it, and you're like, well, how do you know? Well, because you got a lot of good ideas. Good ideas are a dime a dozen. I need you to sit here and let's sit down after work. Let's spend an hour. Let's lose lunch trying to figure out, how does this work, or what do you think about this? So watching Ryan go through that process, us having a coworker that left a year before you after sitting down planning his route to go, you know, that's inspirational in itself. It's just watching somebody else sit there and take the time to plan, and then they figure it out and they go and make the next move.
Right.
So, you know, with Ryan, I'm gonna let you talk about what it is you've done, because I mean, Latrina was easy because it's in her title, but you just Ryan Harris in the streets. So
yeah. You know, I actually wanted to put my my IG, and I put my name and I hit enter, and then it wouldn't.
No, you can change it. So you can change it. I don't know how, but you can.
Yeah. So dmeasures.com is a stop music library. We service film and television music supervisors with background music for independent film projects. We work with gaming developers for background music and independent games. We do YouTubers are big right now. I got a bunch of licenses I just did for a bunch of YouTubers that are putting together their own podcasts. And then we also do custom music production for recording artists or advertising agencies that are looking for music for specific ad campaigns. So it's a kind of a conglomerate of just stop music, making it available to the average consumer to listen through playlists on Apple Music and Amazon Music and on Spotify. But then also that same catalog is exploited and licenses are sold to other creative entrepreneurs who need music for their products and projects. So been doing it for like 2 years now. Wild success that I never thought that I would have. I've learned a lot about the new landscape for music consumption just in my experience, and it's changed my thinking on a whole bunch of things. I'm excited about 2021 and where things are going. And I'm always looking to help people who create. You know, me and Jerron, we talk about this all the time. Always looking to collaborate with other creators. And I'm launching a podcast myself in March called D-Measures or Drastic Measures. And the whole purpose of it is to reaffirm the importance of music and culture in society. And so we talk about how music intersects with politics and fitness and, you know, pretty much any other topic you can think of, because it's prevalent. You know, if you turned off a button right now and turned out all music, life would be completely different. People don't think about that, but if you really look at a movie and just take all the music out of it, you see how important music is. You know, that's
really all right. My bad.
Oh, that's it. You got it.
All right, cool. Latrina, I got you, but I had to figure out where he was at. But I guess so. I want to. We had a question in the chat, so I want to make sure I bring that out for you guys here. T. Allen asks, would you keep your same job if someone offered you $1 million a year to do any other job?
Would you keep your same job if someone offered you $1 million a year?
It depends on the job, because you can make $1 million on a job and still be unhappy. Like,
right.
What is the job? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have some type of like toward it, you're gonna eventually burn out. Like you gotta like it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like that. You're gonna eventually, I mean, me. Let me speak for myself. But I have to something about the job I have to like, whether it's the interaction with people, whether it's who I'm like co-workers, something. You know what I mean? Like a good manager, a good company, something about the job you have to like. So it don't matter if you give you $1 million or whatever. If you don't like it, then if I don't like the job, I'm not gonna do it. Like
Right.
Where I'm at.
I'll echo that. I think the easy answer for that question is, for me, would be to just say no, I wouldn't. But the complicated me is like, well, how long do I got to work there? Can I jump in for like a year and get it, and then get out and get back to what I'm doing?
Wait a minute.
You know what I'm saying? Those things kind of come into play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The easy answer is no, I wouldn't, because I love what I'm doing now. You know, I'm at peace. You know, happiness is fleeting and it's an emotion that can change. But to be at peace and get up, rested, and at peace, that's priceless. That's priceless. This is the first time in my life I've ever really had that since, I live with my parents. So that's priceless.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think that it's interesting because you find your purpose, right? Like you find purpose in what you're doing. Like you figure it out, you need to make a living, you need to figure out what it is you're going to do. But people often don't think about their purpose. And they put a dollar amount to what they think happiness is. And the most people I've ever talked to that had money say it's not really important to you once you get it. Like once you're making over, I think the number was like $125,000 a year. It's all the same. Like you're not doing anything different than you would if you had more money. It's just you're there now. So you start realizing, you start asking the questions. And I think, Ryan, to your point, not putting your numbers out there, but you did really well when we worked together. And I think at a certain point you get the luxury of being able to ask, but I'm not happy though. Because we talk about this all the time. You spend so much energy and time chasing the money, and
Right.
then you start thinking, well, now I'm at this place where I got money, but I'm not having the experiences I want to experience.
Right.
Um, I have conversations with a couple of my friends about just working a job, right? And the idea of vacation time. And I always tell people, I was like, you know what? I rapped for 10 years before like doing any kind of having a job or anything like that. And I was like, it's kind of weird to think about vacation limiting down when your life was kind of a vacation. Like I did whatever I wanted to do. But it's interesting to me because what I had to realize is that some people want the comfort of the check every couple of weeks.
Right.
Like that's where the comfort is. Not even the desire to create it, but they just want that comfort. They want to feel that I know where the next thing is. I know where the next thing is coming from. And I think that as an entrepreneur, there's some sort of love-hate relationship with, can I create the next meal? Can I create the next thing that's going to go? To Latrina's credit, I've watched her build her business from past massage. Like massage is like one thing, and then it just grows and expands. And the thing that I also say is how I can tell she's doing well is because how things happen, she's always right at the turning point. She's not a step behind it. She's not figuring it out down the road. She's like, oh, everybody's turning this way. Boom, there she is. We've had conversations. I'll be like, yeah, this is what I'm working on. She'll be like, yeah. The next thing I know, she pops up with a product. I'm like, okay, I see you. I see you out here. Well, can you do this? And she's like, I don't know. Let me check. And next thing I know, next time I see her, she's like, so yeah, here, I got it. This is what it's gonna be. And I'm like, well, okay, I really wouldn't expect it to move that fast, but I like it. I like how it goes. And I think that in terms of like having a circle of people for you guys, like as entrepreneurs, I love surrounding myself with people who are pushing themselves because it pushes me. It's that steel sharpen steel mentality of, you know what, you guys out here getting it, I gotta go get it. Like, what am I not doing? Being able to ask questions. I do want to put this question up because I think this is something important that both of you guys can answer. Here, Jason Washington asks, how do you market your business and what tactics have been most effective? I guess without giving away your sauce.
um, I guess I'll start. I think for me, um, the platforms that I use kind of already have built-in audiences, and so it's really just a matter of showcasing the content. I run ads here and there, but understanding algorithms and being able to position your content on those platforms and take advantage of those audiences has been key for me. So not so much paying advertising dollars. I've done some of that with social media. I've got a super small social media following, so I don't really rely on that. Again, it's really about understanding the platforms that host my content and being able to connect the established audiences with that content in a meaningful way, by understanding the algorithm and understanding how to label and position the content.
My turn.
Yeah,
Well, how I advertise, it's grown over the years. When I first started on Instagram, I didn't know nothing really. I was just kind of winging it. But I kind of seen what get good impressions. You know what I mean? What people tend to comment on most, what they tend to engage in, and people like to see my massage videos usually, especially my tie videos, my tie on table videos, my stretch videos. So I mean that's really how I market. You know what I mean? Is just seeing what gets the most engagement. Now I'm no expert, and sometimes I have to battle myself to okay, put something out there, you know what I mean? Put some content out there. That's a struggle. Like if anything, you had a question, what's one of the hardest things? Like that is probably like one of the hardest things for me because I mean, I'm social, but I do have introvert ways. It'll be a moment where I'm just like, I just don't feel like doing this. Like I just don't feel like I just want to do the work. Can I just help the people and not have to show?
right.
But honestly, like this is where a lot of people see me. Like it's where I get a lot more visibility is on Instagram. So just knowing that that's what's bringing people, new clients, more visibility for myself, especially these days with COVID and stuff like that. I'm not getting out there in events like I, probably would, my contracts, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure we'll get to that. But yeah, so how I market is just seeing what gets the most engagement.
Well, I want to say something too because again, to the point of just the ingenuity of doing it. So COVID hits, right? And I'm not gonna point names. There's only three of us here, but somebody business has to kind of shut down because of COVID. And next thing I know, something pops up and it's like, look, I got these Zoom lessons, right, where you can learn how to stretch. I think $10, $12. I don't even remember what it was. But
Zoom came through for me. Yeah, I had to switch it up.
I mean, it was like radio silence for like a week. And then it was like, all right, so this is what's gonna be happening on this day. You can get it. And I was like, you gotta love the hustling. You gotta love it because when your back's against the wall, you gotta figure it out. Like it gets no easier than that. And what part that got me was I follow a lot of people that do massage. This is the only one I saw. It was like, look, I got these Zooms, and then had a full conversation about the camera. And it's not to make fun, but it was funny because the first video, the camera was the wrong way.
One of my technical difficulties.
But it was great because the reason why I bring it up is because I always tell people I have to find people that are experts because the one thing that everybody can guarantee about me is it's gonna come out. Now it may not come out great, it may not, but it'll be out. Because my thing is always I don't have to be as good as the best that's doing it with $1 million budget, but I damn sure know whoever's sitting next to me, I got to be ahead of them. Like that. That's who I got to be ahead of. So I give you credit for the fact of that first video, you might have been this way. That next one, you was perfectly fit right here, right on the TV screen. It fit the full screen. I was like, That's what I'm talking about. We ain't looking at a viral massage stretching video now. We we right in there like it's a full on movie.
Yeah.
But but like I said, that's what I think is so important of just that drive to go get it. Even when you see the obstacle, when you see this is obstacle, because you didn't know what the future of the business looks like. The two things that you said that you've done in your past require you to be physically close to a person, and if both of those things go away, what options do you have?
Mhm. Right.
And I think that that's something that I don't know. Like I do bad with this because I'm really not for entrepreneurship being taught in colleges because I don't know if it's something that you can just teach out of a book. Because you can get all
Mhm.
the you can get all the terms, you can get all the information, but that get off your butt and go, the risk of going to go do it, because I couldn't imagine leaving college with debt to go be an entrepreneur. Like, how am I start $200,000 in the hole and now go start my business? And I'm not saying it works for people because you can learn and you can have a job and you can learn how to turn that over. I'll use Jay Steinfeld. Best conversation I ever had with him was he went to college to get a job. He figured I'm gonna be an accountant. He said he knew he would be an entrepreneur, so he took accounting, did that, became a CPA, or yeah, became a CPA. Ended up getting all the way to chief financial officer for Meineke. I asked him this question because you never find out, but I was like, "Well, how did you know to go do a blinds business?" He was like, "I got fired." He literally said, "I got fired, and I just decided that I didn't want to work for anybody else, and I learned about franchising, so I went out and bought a franchise."
Mm.
And but my thing is, it was already in him, and that's why I wanted to have these conversations because being an entrepreneur is in you. People have fallen in love with the idea of it. When I started Critical Hustle, I liked it because nobody used the word hustle. Hustle had this bad connotation of, oh, you hustle, that means you sell drugs. And I was
Mm.
like, no, hustling means I know how to take nothing and figure out how to make something out of it to get to the next level. That's all I ever knew it to be. So if I was a short little football player. I was like, you know what? I can't run a straight line. I'm not gonna catch nobody. I'm gonna run at an angle. That's how I'm gonna hustle this situation. Like that's what I figured out. Ryan or Jason had a question. Said, since COVID, what have you done to pivot your business? He said he came on late, so it appears Ryan's business is online anyway, so he may not have had to.
Yeah, I didn't have much to pivot to. Yeah, everything that I've done has been online, and in fact, I mean, sometimes I shun to say it, business kind of increased for me just because people are more focused online and consuming entertainment and consuming content online now. And so things have been kind of up for me. I mean, I've got other friends um, who've had you know retail shops and have had to focus more on online retailing. That seems to be the trend across the board. But honestly, thank God, knock on wood, that nothing else happens in 2021. I haven't really had to pivot from my initial strategy.
Okay. Trina, I mean, I know we just talked about your whole move, and that was a movement. Um, anything else that you notice is different, or that you've had to adapt?
Honestly, with the mask thing, wearing it while I work, I do my sessions aren't really well, some of them are, but I'm working, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I'm physically,
Killing
you know,
people. Yeah, I know.
so you know what I mean?
You're killing some, relaxing others. I got it.
Yeah, that, what I mean, that aspect, the physical aspect of, the math situation and trying to maneuver that with work. That, and then like you said, the virtual, having to offer something that can, bring revenue, and then that's pushed me, or it is pushing me into trying to get more, apply technology to what I do more. You know what I mean? So now I'm finding myself, pondering on investing in different cameras and stuff like that so I can put the type of content I want out, you know what I mean, and have the equipment to do it, you know what I mean? And having that put, be something that's part of the budget. You know
Right.
what I mean? So it's like, I didn't think I would have to do any of it. You know what I mean? This is totally different, totally new. And like you said, a lot of massage therapists now, they don't really think about that. They're not really thinking about, how they can incorporate technology into their job. And that's what I'm having to ponder on all the time. Like I didn't think I would have to be thinking about this at all. It was just so hands-on, but now I'm really having to push myself in a different way that I'm not used to, try to get some outcome of it, trying to go with the times. So
Right. So I'm gonna ask this question because I think it's one of the tough questions, and I don't even know if you guys think about this, but as entrepreneurs at this point, what do you think is the hardest loss or lesson that you had to just suck it up and accept it and push on?
The hardest lesson that I had to just swallow. Man, I think for me, it's a lot of things. I can't name any one specific. It's a lot of micro things that I've had to bite the bullet on. It's not. I can't say one big knockout punch that set me back that I had to really swallow. I haven't had that yet. But micro things like having expectations of a certain revenue come in and a certain amount of revenue coming in a given time period and not hitting that goal and not planning to be under goal. That's a minor thing because you can always adjust and make up for it the next month. But I find myself having to be careful about cash flow and be careful about over projecting. And that was the lesson that I learned from a few things that happened this year and at the beginning of me starting my business. Just to be mindful of over projecting, always build in a percentage of failure. You're probably like if you say you're going to do 5,000 this month, well, plan to only really shoot for the 5,000, but plan for what you'll do if you only hit 3,500. What's the minimum amount that you could get away with without dying? You know what I mean? Being able to adjust if that comes into play. So I think early on that was cash flow was kind of an issue because I was successful prior to jumping off the ledge. And then once we got out there, it was kind of like, all right, I'm expecting the same thing. Then we had a dip and it was like, whoa, wait a minute. All right, we got to backtrack and readjust some things for the upcoming months to get back on track. So does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah.
You planned really well, basically. You planned really well and mitigated as much as you could before you got out there. So that that makes sense. What about you, Latrina?
I mean, you know what? The lesson that I'm still learning is like my ego. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times, not really. Well, yeah, you know what I mean? Because every time I learn something new or I try to, add to my repertoire, add, do different classes and things like that. I mean, it really just tell me I don't really know nothing. You know what I mean? It's like I'm constantly a student and just putting myself in that place. Like, look, you're not, you're not the expert. You know what I'm saying? Not to say I necessarily think I am, but sometimes you get so into just what you're doing, and then when somebody throw a curveball, you learning something new. It's like you back to baby steps. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like that bringing myself to that point of always, always be a student. Like know that I really don't know nothing, and be open to accepting any type of knowledge, no matter what it is, because I'm gonna be able to add that to my field, to my business, to my life. You know what I mean? It's making me grow as a person, actually. You know what I mean? The constant, little curveballs that get thrown sometimes in the entrepreneurial field. Those curveballs sometimes it's like, okay, it makes you check yourself sometime. You know what I mean? Check your, like you said, keep your finances in check, little stuff, you know what I mean, to keep you like, okay, you know what I mean, uncomfortable sometimes. So I'm thinking that's really that's how I would answer that.
So if you guys can give me 3 more minutes, I got one last question for you, and then I want you guys to plug your things. So at this point right now, what does retirement look like to you? Like, how are you as entrepreneurs? How are you planning for that? I don't want to do nothing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a daily conversation. At this point in my life, with two kids and um, just my mom passed about a year ago, and just the fragility of life has kind of been a thing, um, a common subject in a lot of my conversations the past year and a half. So as far as what it looks like, I mean, it's just the basic. I call it and I'm not going to plug this guy, but the baby steps. You got to plan and just basically put something to the side, put your stash to the side. And we all know the financial hustle. You don't want to just have it sitting in a bank. You want to try to invest in IRA. You want to invest in ETFs. You want to think about, maybe if you can, you know uh, own some real estate. You know what I'm saying, where you can have some residual income, because we don't know if Social Security is going to be here 20 years from now when it's time to retire.
We ain't getting it. We ain't getting
We
it.
don't be there. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I think for me, it's just really, really, um, and I'm by no means a financial expert, but I'm trying. That's where I'm at in my life right now, is learning all of that jargon, learning what I should be doing with my extra income. Don't buy Jordans, go buy a piece of stock. Take that money and put it away a little bit for a rainy day. Have a stash for if everything goes belly up and you can't work, or you can't do what you need to do. Yeah, it's a daily conversation, and it's just the mental dexterity and I'll call it the discipline. That's the word I'm looking for. The discipline to say, all right, this is for 20 years from now. I'm not going to touch it.
Okay. What about you, Latrina? How about you? How are you?
Like some of the same stuff, like Ryan said, literally. With my generation, I'm kind of in my family. I'm kind of the first one to do, to even be thinking about, stock investing and just having that income, that passive income, just thinking of those different things and trying to incorporate that into my life and in my kids' life. And that's a big struggle too. I mean, just not having, my parents to kind of, because they're ignorant. They don't know nothing about it, and they act like they don't want to know nothing about it. So it's like I'm going out and trying to get all this information of, how I can leave something for my kids, life insurance policies and, things like that, so I'm kind of the first one to do a lot of that. So what retirement looks like for me is, having a diverse portfolio, which I'm working on. I'm no expert. Trust me. Oh my goodness. Like I just started learning a lot of this stuff a few years ago. So just having diverse portfolio that, I don't really necessarily want to benefit from, but I kind of want to pass it to my kids and have them kind of do that, so we can really try to build something for real. You know what I mean? And on a family level, and then that exudes out. But I do want to say that I don't never want to stop working, but that's me. You know what I mean? I want to always be doing something. I don't want to sit up and not have to do nothing. I just know that when I stop moving, so I just always want to be doing something. So I may be in retirement, but not really. You know what I mean? I'm doing something. I'm moving around. Right.
You gotta do school. I need somebody to take you when you stop. I need somebody to start. So you just train them up. Train them up in the way.
So I mean, that's really what it looks like. It's just, man, I would love to have a rental property to just, have some type of property that I own that I can rent out and just have, real estate and things like that, kind of how Ryan was talking. Like that is the goal for me. Like that's what my retirement would look like, is having multiple properties where, people are paying me, monthly income that I'm using that income to pay my income, and I'm just, balling off of what I got, so that's kind of what retirement looked like for me.
Well, I want to tell you guys thank you for giving me your time. This definitely probably could have kept going. I could have asked you 55 million other things, but again, I know that time is precious, and I'm trying to get this to where it's really an hour. So, again, I do appreciate you guys taking the time out. Latrina, if you want to plug where they can find you, whatever you got going on, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I'm going to just do this while you're doing it. Go ahead.
All right. You see my website, www.logisticmassagebody.com. I'm a licensed massage therapist, owner, operator. I specialize in injury recovery, sports, deep tissue. That's really what I love to do. You can go to my website if you want to, check out my booking app, so you can book an appointment, book a consultation. Whatever you want to do, we can talk about it. If you don't know what you want, we can discuss it. If you're in pain and you kind of want some direction, we can discuss that too. I'm always on Instagram. That's probably the best place to find me, at Logistic Massage. I am on Facebook. Gotta do better with Facebook. Facebook I don't know. But you can catch me on Facebook too, Logistic Massage Bodywork.
And she's on Google. She's got a Google business.
Oh, yes, Google. Check out my Google reviews. All right.
And I 100% co-sign everything she just said. Like, all my friends, if you guys are remotely stressed out like Ryan is, sometimes no, she's really great, and I do recommend you guys all to go there. Just save an hour for me, please. Ryan, what about you?
dmeasures.com. Stock music library for creatives. Check it out if you are an advertising agency, if you are a recording artist, if you are a podcaster, if you are a game developer and you're looking for music to enhance your production, check us out. We've got single-use licenses. We've got subscriptions, new music added monthly in pretty much every genre that you can think of. So don't forget the importance of music. We're here to help. Also, if you need custom music, you can follow me at, on my IG at dmeasures. And that's it, man. Let's get it.
Well, again, I appreciate everything there. As always, it's been a pleasure. It's been a great happy hour. This is really probably part one of many of entrepreneurs, because I want to keep finding people that I know are out there getting it. I probably want to bring them back. I hope that's more than like one glass of water, because then I'm gonna call you a lightweight if you only own one scoop of water. But again, I do appreciate you guys' time. It's been wonderful. You guys can go to www.criticalhustle.com. You can reach me at Critical Hustle. I don't really have much else to say tonight, because this is the earliest I've ever gotten out of one of these. So I'm going to go be a husband and enjoy my life. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Trina, I'll probably see you next week. Ryan, we got to catch up. Got to park out by the house. So I'm trying to organize a basketball game where we can play outside where it's healthy.
Well, I don't know if I do basketball no more. I think after this trip around the sun, I'm done.
I think we're all done. That's why I'm trying to organize it now, because this is when it's going to be equal. Now they ain't going to be flying up and down the court.
Right.
But you guys have a wonderful evening. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back next week.
All right. Appreciate it.